This one is one with a lot of heat on it. Meat, cannot wait to get your perspective. Tim Elliott, 18-12-1, is a pretty decent favorite, -185, coming in against Victor Altamirano, who at 12-2 is +150. He's 2-1 in the UFC and is on a nice two-fight win streak. He's going out there and he made light work of Vinicius Salvador and did the same thing to Daniel Lacerdo. And Lacerdo is one of the worst guys on roster for sure, but Victor noticeably improved in those two contests. And I'm curious if this is too much of a levels test against Tim Elliott, who, if you're an MMA sweaty, you're watching UFC breakdown videos, then you know the lore currently about what's going on with Tim Elliott, and normally something that would probably be private, but nonetheless, Tim Elliott brought to the world. And I would encourage everyone to watch his little media scrum that he did today with MMA Junkie, where it gives you an interesting perspective into the mind of Tim Elliott and what was ongoing, but nonetheless, personal turmoil, you can summarize it as. And at 18-12-1, this is a guy who has sort of had an up and down career. He's always a very tough game levels test. Like, he's the dude at 125 where if you beat him, then you start getting those higher profile ranked matches for sure. And if we remember, I mean, before Triple C came around, this guy was a former title challenger and was the guy who gave Mighty Mouse his stiffest test to date before Henry Cejudo came knocking. So a guy who's very well rounded, can push a pretty insane pace, but he is 36. He's dealing with the personal turmoil, and we've been saying it for months now, Meat. It is the year of the Mexican fighter, and Victor Altamirano is on a nice win streak. So what are your thoughts on this one? Do you think that Tim Elliott will use this personal turmoil as fuel, or is this going to be more of a distraction and Victor's going to capitalize?
Yeah, it's so hard to say when there's these cases where, like, you don't know if they're mentally all there, if they're, I it's hard for me to believe that, oh, he's over it. I mean, obviously he's talking about, so there's no way he is, but let's just say, oh, he's totally focused, he's not worried about it. It may or may not affect him, but I feel like it's a 50-50. It's a big risk. I think he should win this, but I'm probably just avoiding this one totally just because you just don't know. Like, I think he should be a lock in this matchup, but with something that crucial in your your emotional mental life, it's got to take a toll, and there's no way you can fully commit and focus 110%. And maybe he's working out harder, but is the mental game there? That is the biggest aspect. A lot of it, is physical, working out, training, grinding, cardio, but then 80% of the rest is a lot mental. Some of these guys, they're practice warriors, but then when the lights turn on, they are bums. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he performs. I gotta take Tim Elliott though. I'm rooting for him purely for his bad situation. I feel bad for the dude, so I gotta ride with that OG. I think he'll still get it done, but I don't know. I'm not the most confident in this pick.
Yeah, I feel you where you're coming from for sure. Like, most circumstances, I would see this as a Tim Elliott lock, but you always got to look at the context. And again, it could go one of two ways. Maybe he uses it as fuel, and we see a hungry, angry version of Tim Elliott. I mean, look what we saw from Mackenzie Dern 2 weeks ago, right? She had some stuff going on in her personal life, somewhat similar situations, and she used that as fuel and had the best performance of her life. So maybe Tim Elliott is able to really harness it and access that rage and just take it all out on El Magnifico, and that would be pretty cool. I'm definitely rooting for Tim Elliott. I mean, the guy seems to just always be a grizzled vet. He's always in there, always ready to show up, and when he's at his best, he always puts on nice performances and is a guy who can really wear you down and wear you out. So in this one, 70% Meat are rolling with Tim Elliott, 30% going with Altamirano, and it's basically beige on both sides. Do you also anticipate this fight going the distance?
Yeah, I can see the distance, but also, I mean, with Tim Elliott being the way he is, he's very angry. So he's either gonna knock him out or he's gonna get knocked out. That's kind of how I see it. So I don't know if this one will go the distance purely because of that inner demon that is riding inside.
Yeah, right. And just quickly, another example, Damon Jackson recently. He had the leech. He had some personal tragedy, and what did he do? He went out and absolutely smoked Pat Slabatini in like 30 seconds, right? So I'm with you, Mia. I'm going to take Tim Elliott. I'm going to buy the story. I'm going to agree that he's going to be part of that Mackenzie Dern, part of that Damon the Leech Jackson lore where they can just find a way to harness the feelings and use it to their advantage. However, if Victor comes in here and continues the year of the Mexican fighter that we've been saying and just absolutely stiffens Tim Elliott with an early 1 or 2 punch combo, then I'm going to be pretty bummed out for Tim Elliott, but not really the most surprised. But I'm with you. I'm going to roll Tim Elliott. I like it maybe by a finish. Any last thoughts?
No, it's a great matchup, great fight. Throw in the comments who you taking. You taking Tim Elliott or El Magnifico?